Ciao, welcome to week 3. I cannot believe it has been 3 weeks since I've been here. This is actually a pretty busy week because I'm going to Rome once again with my whole class, and we are also going to Assisi. Quick little serenade in front of the Duomo, and then I made myself dinner. This was a tortellini with ricotta and some green plant in it. I don't remember which one. It was a super short Monday, not much happened, but now it is Tuesday and it is super early in the morning. We are heading to Rome for my second time. Jackson has my bus ticket, so I gotta walk all the way to his place. It's like 6 a.m. right now. Nobody's out. It's kind of creepy, honestly. But I had this beautiful star to keep me company. Usually when I leave in the mornings, there's a big crowd of people, tourists already in front of the Duomo, so it was kind of nice to actually just walk up in the morning and there be nobody. However, my thoughts of that changed as I walked down the alley and it just got creepier, so. But then I came across a street Zamboni. This thing cleans the cobblestone streets, which I think is so awesome. It is cat hour, apparently, also. Here we are heading to the train. I am just coming across so many floor cleaning robots today, and it is like 7 a.m. Once we arrived in the Rome train station, we took the subway in order to get to our next destination. It's really bringing me back to my New York days, aka the 5 days on a field trip I spent there. This day is really just a repeat of a lot of the pictures I put in last week's video. So I actually did have one of these in last week's video, but I didn't have context at the time, and now I actually do. So each of these 4 maps actually shows the progression of the Roman Empire and how big it got. And then this is the final stage, the biggest it ever got. The Imperial Forum once again. This monument is known as Altare della Patria, I believe, and it was built to honor Victor Emmanuel II, the first king of a unified Italy. And we actually were told that this tomb or monument was built on top of another one, so they knocked down a previous one, so a previous important site had been destroyed to build this tomb or monument. I think it's his tomb too, but I could be wrong. But because of this, it's actually a super controversial building. Our final stop as a group in Rome was at the Pantheon. Obviously, we've been talking about the Pantheon in school for years, and so we know that the dome is huge, but I mean, it's just, you don't understand till you stand under it. There's literally a McDonald's right across the street from the Pantheon, and I actually knew about this because they talked about it in class freshman year, and I just thought it was so funny to actually see it. Like, how often does an American see a McDonald's across the street from an ancient building? This is a Catholic private school, I believe, that we were taken to see the architecture of it. For lunch, Jackson and I stopped at a sandwich shop. I got a sandwich with ham, pesto, mozzarella. I believe that's it. It was very good. Viagra flavored gelato, anyone? Now we are off to our own free will, and we are heading to the Vatican. The goal was to go into St. Peter's, but we failed to find out that that's not really possible unless you buy a ticket ahead of time, because the wait time is actually like 4 to 6 hours. And especially with Jubilee, it could be even longer. So we did go into the Vatican, but didn't actually get to go into any buildings. This guy was actually really funny because I totally did not realize he was real, and Jackson did, and I definitely thought Jackson was tweaking, but he was real. Getting so close to St. Peter's. We have now officially entered the Vatican, which means we are in a whole different country. Seeing the lines, we could definitely tell that there was no way we were getting in, and the next closest ticket, earliest ticket, was at 6 p.m. and we actually were supposed to leave at like 5:20 or something. Going into St. Peter's was something that Jackson really wanted to do, so there was a high possibility that we will probably come back here at some point during the semester just to explore Vatican City. Today is another rainy day, so gotta pull out the rain boots and the umbrella. We did another drawing in studio. This time it was about a passage that we had to read. We were all assigned a specific passage. Mine was called The Cheese Museum, and basically I'm just drawing out the interpretation of what was going on in the character's head in the story. On my walk home, I found kind of a big snail, and it had a really pretty shell, so I just had to take some pictures of it. It was too aesthetic. That night I was meeting Jackson for dinner, but every single light on my street was out for some reason, so that was kind of scary. But at dinner there were a whole bunch of cats. Well, by a whole bunch I mean 2, and we really liked them, so I guess they made up for it. Yet again, my margarita pizza, but this time I actually got one with Parmesan on it, and it added $2 or €2 to the price, but honestly really worth it. One last cat pic for the good luck. He actually was sitting on like the waiter's stand. It had like the menus and silverware and stuff on it. He found a little nook underneath it and took it. Today is cheese workshop. So we actually went to a farm and got to see all the animals, like the dairy goats that he uses to make the cheese, as well as his other farm animals like the chickens and horses, and then of course some dogs. There were a total of 3 dogs, but these 2 loved to play. They were like wrestling the whole time that this guy was trying to give us explanations and tours, and it was really funny. Here's the 3rd dog. He was tied up most of the time, unfortunately. It was feeding time for the goats, and just listen to the music that plays while they're eating. It just fits so well. Pure chaos. We have an angry mother chicken. He actually took her eggs that morning, so she was visibly angry.
On her hands.
She's very non ti incazzare, dai. Today
Here's our herding dog. He was on duty, ready to go. And now here are the cows. It was so sweet. He actually called their names when we walked into the field, and they both came running. Then we sat down for lunch. Our lunch literally just consisted of bread and cheese, so unfortunately, not great luck for me. But some of them were really good. Others had a little bit too much mold on them for me to try. And of course, more cats. There were a couple of cats. One thing that was not pictured here, but we did that day, was actually went into the creamery, and got to watch him make some cheeses as well as help make some cheese. It was a fun experience. Anyway, when it was time to leave, the herding dog literally led us to our bus, so that was really funny. Last day of the week, it's a CC day. On our ride, we drove by this lake, which they said was man-made, but it was a really pretty lake. Also telling us that we were going to drive past the largest canyon in Italy, So I can only assume this is what that was, but we are literally driving through the clouds right now. Here she is, a sneak peek of Assisi. Before going off on our tour, we stopped at a cafe. I got a cappuccino and a croissant. Jackson ordered a latte, but what he forgot about is that latte actually means milk in Italian, so he just ordered a hot milk instead of a cafe latte. Here we are walking up to the Basilica of St. Francis, which I wasn't allowed to take pictures inside, but it was like one of the coolest churches I've ever seen. This was sitting in front of a store. I do not know exactly what it was, but it was fun to look at. Another real fake statue guy. We were released to do our own thing. First stop we made was lunch. I got a small little personal margarita pizza. We are now on our way to this old fortress, and we had to walk up so many stairs and so many hills. It was kind of miserable, but totally worth it. Once we were in it, there was like a small tower we could climb up and take pictures out of, and I got some of the coolest shots of Assisi from up here. This place was actually housing a whole bunch of Banksy drawings and paintings, and this was one of them. Of course, Jackson freaked out, had to include it for you, Mom and Dad. We then made our way up to the turret tower, but it was probably just as bad as the clock tower, honestly. It required us to go up and down steps and through this super long tunnel where Jackson had to duck the whole time. It was super small, but the views out there were super worth it. For dinner, Jackson made us his signature sausage pasta, but what we didn't anticipate was that the sausage actually has to be hand peeled here. So that was a fun learning curve. But it turned out really, really good. The sausage was probably the best sausage I've ever had. As for the weekend goes, really nothing happened. Today we're having a bum fit, and I really just went to dinner. Like, it was just a day of homework and kind of my first day off of like this whole trip so far. Yeah, see, super quick. And now we're on Sunday, also super short day. With this day, I spent pretty much all day on homework. This is just a glimpse of what I did. I'm actually editing this exact video, so that's really all I have. It was a really fun week, but also super, super tiring. So I will see you guys next week where we go to Turin and Milan. Ciao, everyone.